fucking one of us. The housing crisis forcing all my people in the streets. So much debt is on my shoulder that I'm barely on my feet.
Oh my. If you think things in America are bad right now, just look at Canada.
I don't think it's okay to rob a grocery store if you're hungry. I don't think it's okay to rob a bank if you're poor.
Okay.
Do you?
It's fucking ridiculous. Our people should be in position of power, not someone who just got here. It's even worse in Brampton because Canadians are actually a minority, so...
Look, you want to understand how bad it is in Canada right now? Take a load of this.
I've got a serious question today. What is actually happening in Canada right now? Because for a lot of people, it doesn't feel like the same country anymore. Families are struggling just to afford the basics. Groceries, rent, bills, everything feels out of reach. People are working full-time and still falling behind. And then there's the bigger picture. Rising crime in some areas has people feeling less safe. Homelessness is more visible than ever. Housing? Completely unaffordable for many. Wages? Not keeping up with reality. Even things Canadians used to rely on, like healthcare, are starting to feel strained. And all of this creates one feeling that keeps coming up again and again. Pressure. Financial pressure, mental stress, uncertainty about the future. So today, we're not just talking about one issue. We're talking about the bigger shift happening across Canada and why so many people feel like something is off. Let's get into it.
With every fucking one of us. The housing crisis forcing all my people in the streets. So much debt is on my shoulder that I'm barely on my feet. $100 at the grocery store can barely fucking eat. $20 in the tank can barely get me up the street. And if they can print the money, why the fuck we paying taxes? And half the population homeless living out of trash bags. And how are you converting every vehicle to gasless? Maybe all this money's just been going in your mattress. And all these empty promises you fed to the indigenous. Like where do all the burials of babies come to fit in this? A red dresses hanging on the freeway made them swing a fist. And now you have entire cultures wishing that they didn't miss. Black skin, white skin, red skin, yellow skin, brown skin. You don't have a color, you're in devil's...
I don't think it's okay to rob a grocery store if you're hungry. I don't think it's okay to rob a bank if you're poor.
Okay.
Do you?
Usually, I do not think it would be okay, but if someone's under extreme circumstances, I can understand why they might make a decision.
Well, hold on a second. People are not coming to America under extreme circumstances.
Really?
What circumstance that their countries are poor? That's 6 billion of the 7 billion people on this planet. Right?
Yeah.
So that's a right to just walk into somebody else's country?
I'm not saying they should just be able to come here willy-nilly. All right?
But they are, right? And they should be removed and returned to their country of origin, right?
If they can go back there, but that's not always an option.
Well, there's flights every day. Like, you can definitely go back.
I don't mean in terms of transportation. I mean countries like, you bring up what...
Name one country. El Salvador, it's actually safer than America. Venezuela, it's now safer than America. Why? Because they're sending their criminals here. They're opening their prisons and sending the migrants here that we have a migrant crime with.
I know people who've come from those countries.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure there's lots of exceptions. Here's the problem. Is that you need to put your own citizens first above the citizens of another country. Always. And right now, everybody in this audience, they're the first generation since George Washington, have it worse off than their parents. And so I don't care about the rhetoric. I don't know what you're talking about, to be honest. Instead, I do not have a soft spot for someone that is coming from the third world illegally into our nation when our own generation, these kids here, are the most depressed, suicidal, anxious, poor, and least homeownership generation in history. These kids should come first above foreigners.
This is the police in Canada. It's fucking ridiculous. Our people should be in position of power, not someone who just got here. It's even worse in Brampton because Canadians are actually a minority, so they need to hire Indians to reflect the population. And it just so happens that 82 police officers who just got promoted in that area are under investigation for cheating on their exams. Well. This is going to happen across the country, by the way. The more immigrants pull up, the more immigrants they need to hire because, again, they need to reflect the community. And I'm sure some of them will be down and will be able to protect their friends if they're caught in a sticky situation. We shouldn't be doing that.
This guy thinks he's smart, walking into a sunglasses shop and taking everything they have, and quite frankly, he is very smart, because in today's Canada, they're not going to do a damn thing about this. You see, he looks like he just went into Zara, took that coat off their hands, and now he's in this shop taking all these sunglasses. He's probably going to put them on Facebook Marketplace, so if you're the cops trying to investigate, just look out for 400 pairs of sunglasses being put on Facebook Marketplace. You'll instantly find out who this guy is and where he is right now. But look, They need to start installing something, maybe some kind of panic buttons. You can alert security so they can come out, or have some paid officers walking around here, because this is ridiculous. He's been in this section for a whole minute now, and nobody's done anything. Nobody's screaming. Nobody's yelling. Nobody knows that this guy's stealing other than the store employee here that's filming. I mean, how much jail time do you think he's going to serve? I bet you he doesn't even go to jail. They'll slap a little fine on him, and you'll see him at your local sunglasses shop robbing a few hundred more.
Hey Canada, what's new with you? Something crazy is gonna happen? Because their population is not gonna grow at all this year for the second year in a row. Wait, what? What's happening? So for like 40 years, our population grew like 1% every year, which is like normal. But then starting 2015, the immigration started to increase more and more. In 2022, we had more than 1 million people in a single year. That's a lot for you. And then in 2023, we added 1.2 million. The cities were filling up. But at the same time, housing costs increased, rent was super expensive, and hospitals were full. So we were like, okay, we need to stop immigration and start kicking some people out. And did that decrease the population at all? Well, it didn't decrease it, but in 2025 we had 0 population growth. And apparently in 2026 we will also have 0 population growth. So from 2 million people in 2 years to 0 in 2 years? Yeah, but we really needed to do that change. But it's still crazy. Well, hopefully that works out for you, Canada.
I'm not a breaking news kind of girl, but it's bad when the people in Canada, Toronto, are bing-binging the U.S. consulate. I mean, the Canadians, they're mad at us. And they're bringing out the bing-bings. They don't do that. They're nice people. We're bad people. America's bad now. I don't like being bad. I don't know about you guys. I like when we're good. I like people liking us. Do call me crazy. But when the Canadians are mad at us, that's where I draw the line. I mean, my goodness. Have you ever met a Canadian? They're the nicest people in the world. Salt of the earth. And they're not happy with us. Don't turn on the news. Just don't even turn on the news, okay? Because it's not good. It's not good. The Canadians are mad. Okay? That's all I have to say. Period. End. Full stop. He's pissed them off. We're now bad in the Canadians' eyes. And really, I think I need to go back to sleep today because the Canadians don't like us anymore. Stay strong, everybody.
Oh my. If you think things in America are bad right now, just look at Canada. Bro. And to be 1,000% honest, what's going on in Canada has been a very highly requested video. Plus, somebody asked me to do this video a while ago, and it took me a little bit to get the information and talk with some actual Canadians. So I owe it to them. So today we're going to talk about Oh, Canada. So to start this one, we have to do a quick little backstory and go back to 22. See, at this time, COVID is still a big deal. It's not that COVID isn't a big deal right now. It's just basically become flu C. Nowhere near what it was in 2022. The Canadian government institutes a rule for over-the-road truckers. The rule states that all cross-border truckers must be vaccinated. Otherwise, they're going to have to go into quarantine when they re-enter the country. Now, this pissed off the truckers. And rightfully so. This is one of the essential groups of people that helped countries survive. Right along with, healthcare professionals, first responders. The truckers have every right to be pissed. Now, I don't know who in the Canadian government thought this was a great idea. But I can tell you here in America, truckers are a group of people you don't want to mess with. It's like touching America's boats. It's just a bad idea for everybody all around. So because of this, Canadians do what, Canadians really don't do. They got pissed off and stood up. You see, what had happened was a group of over-the-road truckers decided to organize a peaceful drive protest to the country's capital in Ottawa. This then grew legs and became the Freedom Convoy of 2022. But you see, as this thing grew legs, it became about so much more. It wasn't just truckers. Everybody chimed in at this point. People who lost their job or were put on unpaid leave that currently had no job. Parents who were tired of seeing their kids isolated and masked in schools. Small business owners who had lost everything. And just everyday Canadians who were fed up with surveillance and censorship, coercion and corruption. So this is it. The stage is set. The protest is slated for January 23rd through the 29th. I mean, if it were me, I would have picked some warmer months, but it's my understanding that 30 degrees and snow is like bikini weather up there. I'm just kidding. I love you guys. That's why I'm doing this video. And it wasn't just this convoy. Convoys rolled in from every province in Canada. Thousands descended on Parliamentary Hill. And here's where it gets amazing. This is the biggest logistical flex in the modern era that had no governmental part in it. Private companies and citizens set up field kitchens to feed people who needed it. First aid tents and community care centers were set up. I was even told that hot tubs were brought in. Oh, see, it was bikini weather. That came full circle. They also had companies come in and set up bouncy houses for kids to play in. I mean, the logistical flex that this took, all organized by private companies and Canadian citizens, is absolutely outstanding. Dude, emergency management agencies don't provide logistics like this. Bet the people in North Carolina would have loved to have some dance parties and hot tubs. Bro, they even had prayer circles and support groups going on. It's important to note that there were no riots, no weapons, no violence of any kind during this. Just a bunch of Canadians standing their ground with flags, love, hugs, some free food, and diesel fumes. Hell yeah. All right, round-faced storyteller, so what happened next? You just keep coming up with new ones, don't you? Thank you so much for asking. You see, the Canadian government under Prime Minister Justin Trudeau responded. On February 14th, 2022, Trudeau and the Canadian government enacted the Emergencies Act. This is the first time in Canadian history that this has ever been invoked. This allowed the Canadian government to freeze protesters' and donors' bank accounts without a warrant, cancel truckers' insurance, and pull commercial driver's licenses, forced tow companies to remove rigs, and banned public protest in general. This is starting to sound kind of familiar. This was, of course, condemned by the Civil Liberties Association and Amnesty International, but we all know what this really was, and the line had been crossed at that point. Now, the organizers of the protest were Tamara Lintz and Chris Barber. They were both arrested. And I'm going to leave that story there because both of them deserve their own video, so that's coming. So how does this stand now? Well, the Emergency Act was pretty much a blunt weapon used against peaceful protests. This created the safety blanket that we pretty much all had to deal with during COVID. And we all know what that blanket was really for. Fast forward till today. This was all done under the leadership of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, who has, according to many Canadians that I have either seen or talked to, has absolutely destroyed their country. Their economy's in the tank, unemployment's through the roof, ordinary citizens are being censored and surveilled. Freedoms and liberties are taken away. One of the people I spoke with said that freedom in Canada has become offensive. The word freedom has become synonymous with hate. You gotta be shitting me. History dude, what happened next? Aw, thank you so much for asking nicely. You see, Trudeau resigned. And cue Mark Carney. He basically inherited the prime minister role. You know, kind of the way the Democrats did when they tried to do, when Biden willingly resigned. And see, here's the problem. In a straight heat race between Kamala Harris and Mark Carney, Kamala is the lesser of two evils. Carney was described to me as a younger, way more evil Biden. That's fucking terrifying. Carney is a member of the Group of 30. This is a bunch of academics and financiers. And he's the chair of that organization. That's like being the chair of Corruption, Inc. Not only that, he's the chair of the board of directors for Bloomberg. There are pictures floating around with him with Ghislaine Maxwell. We all know who that is. Like, if you think Trudeau was bad, Wait till you see what this guy can do. He says he'll stand up to Trump. China said the same thing. How's that working out for him? I mean, Trump has single-handedly destroyed the Chinese economy. But that's another video and a podcast. Insert foreshadowing here. I mean, this is just terrifying. For a first world country like this to be on the brink of collapse. However, on the positive side, Canada is holding their elections right now. The final election is this upcoming Monday, and from my understanding right now, it's between Carney and Poliver. Carney is obviously the liberal. I mean, he served as Trudeau's financial advisor. And Poliver's the conservative. So backwards hat history, brah. Dude, what's this mean for America? You're not supposed to drink the bong water, but thank you so much for asking. Really, it depends on who gets elected. Carney says he's going to stand up to Trump, which is not a bright idea. Ask Xi Jinping. In that case, there could be a potential USA-Canada situationship, similar to the US-China situationship, which is terrifying. I guess what I'm trying to say is that this is really still up in the air. Crisp, fresh, great white north air. And I mean mad respect to the Canadians. I mean, they are getting their ass whooped like their hockey team did this winter when the Tkachuk brothers decided to become savages. Too soon? And the whole time have been like, thank you very much, and sorry for having to drop the gloves, but we still have some problems with the government, so can we get that fixed, please? Been a hockey fan my whole life. I know how to speak Canadian. And with that being said, thanks for watching. The best way to support me is to like, comment, or share in my videos. Link is in bio. You can link over to the merch store, podcast, or Discord from there. And with that being said, be nice, be kind, be patient.
I am just trying so hard to keep it together. And these tears are from anger and sadness. I'm on this text thread with family members, and there's a MAGA family member, when I say cultist, when I say he floods the chat every day with these dumb ass articles, it's an understatement, and I ignore them. But this morning I couldn't. It caught my attention. He shared an article by Fox News, of course, of a Canadian who had to wait 12 hours, reportedly, in the waiting room before she saw her doctor, which is an obnoxious amount of time for anybody. But Fox News and MAGA are using this to condemn the Canadian healthcare system. And I'm sitting here thinking about the other headline today, Susie Wiles, Trump's chief of staff, who was just diagnosed with breast cancer, which I don't wish that upon anyone, and it's a good prognosis. But how in this country of haves and have-nots, she does not have to worry about a thing. She does not have to worry about coverage, co-pays, out-of-pocket, premiums, getting in to the best doctors. No, not like tens of millions of us have to. She does not, because of the wealth inequality and how this fucking country is set up. I'm sitting there thinking about my dear friend whose relative has cancer, who had to literally rely on their coworkers to donate their sick time and vacation time to keep them on payroll for another 3 months so that they could get life-saving cancer treatment. And after that 3 months ran out, they had to use the pro bono services of a university law school to try to get them on Medicaid as soon as possible with limited interruption in their cancer treatment. And there was an interruption. And it was a huge hassle. And they had to set up a GoFundMe to cover all of the exorbitant out-of-pocket costs. And he's fucking texting about a 12-hour wait. Fox News is publishing this. I'm thinking about my daughter, who was diagnosed with a condition where her throat closes. She had to wait 2 years to get into a specialist at a local university. 2 years. And now that they finally have it diagnosed, she's got to be on medication. And our pharmacy just told us it's not covered. And it's $8,000 out of pocket. And I pay $1,400 a month in premium. And I have a 20% copay. And each family member has to pay a $2,000 deductible before any coverage kicks in. And he's fucking posting about a 12-hour wait in Canada, where every single Canadian gets the same level of care and coverage. This is crazy.
When you take a step back and look at everything happening in Canada right now, it's clear this isn't just one problem. It's a combination of pressures building up at the same time. And that's what's making it feel overwhelming for so many people. Because think about it. When housing becomes unaffordable, when wages don't keep up, when debt starts rising, when everyday costs keep climbing, it creates a situation where people feel stuck. Not because they're not trying, but because the system around them feels harder to navigate than before. And that's where the frustration is coming from, not just from individuals, but across entire communities. You're seeing it in families delaying major life milestones, people putting off buying a home, delaying having kids, postponing plans they once thought were normal. At the same time, there's a growing conversation about priorities. Some people feel like the focus isn't where it should be. They're asking, are we doing enough to support people here at home? Are the biggest issues getting the attention they deserve? Is the system adapting fast enough to real-life challenges? These are not easy questions, but they're important ones. Because when a large number of people start feeling the same pressure, it becomes more than just personal struggle. It becomes a national conversation. Now, it's also important to keep perspective. Canada still has strengths, opportunities still exist, communities are still resilient, people are still pushing forward every day. But that doesn't mean we ignore what's changing, because acknowledging problems is the first step toward fixing them. And right now, what many Canadians are feeling is simple. Life is getting harder, and it's happening fast. The real question is this a temporary phase or a long-term shift? Because how that question gets answered will shape the future for millions of people. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you feel like things have changed in Canada over the past few years? What's impacting you the most right now? Housing, cost of living, safety, or something else? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's have a real conversation. If this video connected with you, hit like so more people can see it. And if you want honest, unfiltered discussions about life in Canada, make sure to subscribe to Canadian Rant. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.